rings of power.
Your clothes. Give them to me, now.
We find ourselves in the forests of Erin Gallen. Gandalf the Grey Pube searches for the graphic designer of the 2012 Olympic logo. He's packed his own lunch too. Middle-earth is in the midst of a great recession. Prices of meal deals have doubled due to the mithril supply issues. He's conscious of saving money, and that's a wise move. In homage to one of my favourite childhood animations...
You're not a peril. You're good. You are what you choose to be.
The genius of these writers never ceases to amaze me. They take a children's animation and use the story and premise to help build their own character who we now care so much about. For some reason there's a lost Roman soldier here. She's probably made it to the wrong set, and since no one actually knows what's going on in this production, she's probably walked on the set and made up her own lines. They proclaim that they're here to serve the Lord Sauron. Dude, I'm as confused as you are, Grey Pubes.
Ah, God damn it. Ah, break it out. Ah, that hurts.
We then scoot over to Blandriel and Hall Pass. While there are some great slow motion scenes, looks like Hall Pass has given himself the Glob Glob 3000. Who says men can't do two things at once? I guess this guy is no mere man. A foreshadowing, I think. Great writing. Celebrimbor is holding Durin's love plug thing and hope he's given it a good wash since the last episode. They talk about how they have failed to harness its power, and then Blandriel shimmies into this scene in a fluster. Without even giving the guy a second to assess things, she asks,
Can you help him?
And soon we learn that Elven medicine is just a sponge bath and 4 people in robes standing over you. Blandy tells baby-faced Agent Smith that she's never felt worthy on that ship and she preferred a paddleboard or a kayak at least. They have a heart-to-heart and it's really sweet at times, and then have some metaphorical talk about the topic of swimming.
Surfaced. All I could do was swim. I did not cross that bitter ocean. Only to drown now.
What are we to do?
The only thing we can do. Swim.
Much to my surprise, this again is ripped off of Finding Nemo.
When life gets you down, you know what you gotta do?
I don't want to know what you gotta do.
Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, swim.
We then swish over to Celebrimbor, who's finally got a few seconds to himself. Bloody hell, looks like even in Middle-earth you can't even have 10 seconds of privacy. He finds that Hall Pass is now much better than the Elven magic sponge. Luckily he's a smart elf who has lived thousands of years. Quick recoveries like this by a stranger doesn't raise any suspicion. Hall Pass then tries his best to act as suspicious as possible, and as a random bum to be at the heart of the elves, he seems to be surprisingly well trusted. All of these precious gems around him, the mithril, they're all just left lying around. Celebrimbor bores him with his plans for the jewels, and then Hall Pass seems to suggest they should amplify the qualities of the ore using the mithril. He is a master smith and craftsman, but happily takes guidance and advice from him, who's the equivalent of your neighbour Dave with an E in his high school DIY class. It's so inspiring to see anybody can do anything in Middle-earth. Now we're back with the dying king of Numenor. They ask for him to be painted, I don't know, I guess so they don't forget about him. Remember, they don't have Instagram or Facebook. Back with the elves now, and the king has such a bad reputation for his stoner days.
Strange, High King, but anyone being High King. High King, we ask only... High King, wait!
Dude can't walk 5 minutes without people calling him the High King. Then talk about more serious things like creating an object that could harness the power of mithril, all based on the suggestions of...
Only in speaking with the Southlander that I realized...
The low man?
Celebrin taking the credit now.
His suggestions were but the key that unlocked the dam. We are on the cusp.
Oh wait, if only we had seen this somewhere else. Blandriel knows this because she too has seen a few episodes ago when all of the dams opened up, then a mountain exploded, which was all very, very logical, I guess. King is now pissed and sends them all off to Linton. This is basically the equivalent of London for the elves. I'd be pissed too. It's a bit of a crap hole here. Elf knife crime is through the roof. Elves don't even talk to each other on public transport. The weather, don't even get me started on the weather. Blandriel is now getting jealous of the relationship between these two lovebirds. I think she really will cancel her wedding with Hall Pass. So she then gets this NPC-looking guy to do a bit of digging into his background. Humble Hall Pass catches up with her later on, saying thank you for helping me and all that kind of stuff. Also, he puts in that he wants to have an open relationship after their wedding, and adds that Celebrin Fetish is a bit of a monster in the bedroom. Blandriel watches as he leaves and vows never to do missionary again. And we're back to the rap battle of the century. Looks like Slim Lady and D12 want to take him to Detroit and start a record company. Gandalf tells them that he cannot go logo until he finds his designer. In a moment of pure mindfoolery, they announce themselves as the designer of the logo. They then turn on their boomboxes and blaze out their terrible rap at him until he finally collapses. Meanwhile, the little hobbit feet people are sniffing around to help. These powerful beings, instead of obliterating them, decide to play a round of whack-a-mole. Lenny Hendry then gets knifed. "'Tis but a scratch, I'm sure you'll be fine." And before they all get destroyed, Gandalf the gangster walks in with his boombox, and with his first verse almost destroys all of them. But what's this? Slim Lady has had her mum's spaghetti, and even though her knees are weak and arms heavy, she blares out her second verse, which is out of this world. Gangster Gandalf is almost defeated and on the ropes. He's so mad, but he won't give up now. Also, in other notes, his palms are sweaty. This Roman-looking soldier person, on the other hand, is now toast. Thanks to Lenny baited you with another death Hendry. And just before Slim Lady finishes Gandalf, someone's figured out her only weakness: rocks. We then have another beautiful heart-to-heart between the stranger and Lady Frodo, much of which thankfully is taken from the Iron Giant, so actually seems good at this point.
Only you can show what you are. You choose by what you do.
You don't have to be a gun. You are what you choose to be. You choose. Choose.
And just before they're all burnt to toast, Gandalf grabs his staff, and as they offer him Photoshop and design skills, he replies with the most iconic line of the series. Gandalf then hits them with his final verse and ends their rap careers. He knows you can't make it in rap and do graphic design on the side. You gotta choose one or the other. He doesn't choose the thug life chooses him. He then breaks down into some iconic rap. The little hobbit people are loving this. They then sit there in this rather necessary scene where Lenny and the audience finally connect and fall asleep together. From 3 ships to now just 1. I can understand it though, the show's running out of budget. She then seems to smell the fart again, and this time it's tangy. It's got a bit of a kick to it, and it's watering her eyes. Maybe they stopped off for some Indian food on the way, I don't know. In this scene, it seems as if they're both blind as they stare in different directions completely, and as they reach Numenor, it seems like the king or the pope or whoever is dead. The other elves have finally found Horpass and Celebrimbor fetish romancing the stone. He quickly tries to explain his compromised position.
We've been doing it all inside out.
The NPC guy makes his return and has some alarming news, although you wouldn't be able to tell from his face. Great secret detective. Thankfully, Blandriel goes to a secluded, quiet area with super important, life-changing news. The main reason for that is she's not allowed to check a tablet at work, company policy. She's followed there by our main man, who then talks about not forging a crown, but something smaller. Perhaps he's talking about cockring for himself, I'm not quite sure at this point. Let's just see how this plays out. Glad then confronts him about his past. She then drops the bombshell that he was never in line to be the King of Sunderland. In fact, the King of Sunderland's lineage was broken thousands of years ago. It's a shame none of the Macam or the elves who are watching the children grow up mention any of this to her. I guess it just slipped their mind. Also, he has a DUI and a restraining order against him. What a lad. That, coupled with the Celebrimbor affair, well, I'm not sure Glad will marry him now. We then have a corker of a line, an added camera zoom for good effect, signature move by the show.
I have been awake since before the breaking of the first silence.
There is a tempest in me.
He, however, tries his best to convince her that they have something left, and the wedding should continue as they've put down a 15k deposit. He's then really mean to her, makes her cry. That's not nice. She then ends the argument by walking away and going for a swim. Real mature Galadriel. Then follows this by taking her shit out on her BFF Elrond, who just happens to save her life now. Poor guy's been in the friend zone for far too long. Galadriel then rushes back to Celebrimbor, who uses one of his favourite pickup lines.
Galadriel, you're as wet as a river rock.
Apparently that gets all the girls going in the Elven nightclubs. They exchange looks and ask about Halbrand. Where is he gone? And I think at this point they may be a little bit confused, the same as the audience, because you see one character can't have 2 identities. What they should have done to make it a bit clearer is put the name Halbrand and then made it fade to black, then put Sauron on as the new name. This would make it a lot easier for the audience to follow the transformation, and it would employ another Middle-earth graphic designer in this recession. She then tells him that he's off to get some milk. There must not be that many 7-Elevens because he's been gone for a while now. Luckily, as wise elves, instead of being suspicious or asking her more questions, they kind of just go, yeah, whatever, we'll forget about this. This really gives me some Season 8 of Game of Thrones vibes.
Dany kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet and Euron's forces. They certainly haven't forgotten about her.
She then suggests making 3 rings, one for her and her boyfriend, one for the fetish guy, and the other one for El's rod. She then follows this up with a quick PowerPoint as to why 3 is the magic number. It's a bit boring, but the main take-home points are, look, tricycles have 3 wheels, and also 1 is the loneliest number that you'll ever see, 2 is too clingy, as bad as 1, therefore 3 is the magic number, case in point. And so to make 3 rings, they need her knife. Luckily, it has no sentimental value because it's just a knife, and she's just like, meh, here you go, okay, bye, see you now. Back with the fleshy Iron Giant ripoff, she asks him if he can smell something sweaty like a ballsack or something. He brushes that off and changes the subject quickly. Well, it seems like he's actually speaking perfect English now, and I think since the last episode he's been using Duolingo. Knowing Amazon, I'm surprised the Duolingo icon didn't pop on the screen as an ad. Also, have you ever used the app? That notification bird is the real Sauron, I tell you that. Our Lady Frodo is getting her backpack ready as she's going for a gap year of self-discovery to Southeast Asia. They say their emotional goodbyes and have a nice little handshake thing going on there. That's good coordination, I like that. And it's quite sweet, they're hugging, they're crying. I think this is the point as the audience we're supposed to cry. Even Samwise Gurley is here to say goodbye. They, to be fair, had a good friendship going, and I was actually half expecting her to join them. She was probably like, nah, I'm looking after my washing my hair. I got things to do here. They then don't know where to go, but thanks to Iron Giant Man, he can see a sign in the far distance. Wouldn't you believe it? It actually says Disneyland. Oh, I'm excited for season 2 already. You can sense that she's a little bit apprehensive and asks how she can keep up with him.
Always follow your nose.
He of course means his ballsack smell. He's using it as a guide and beacon for her to follow. Also, this is the final confirmation we needed to know he is Gandalf. This is because he also says this to the Fellowship in the Mines of Moria, when he used the special power of ballsack sweat to guide them through the mines.
If you always follow your nose.
One of the downsides was it kind of woke up the Balrog. I guess you can't win every battle. And so we reach the money shot of the season. In the fires that forge, 3 rings are made, with a sprinkling of mithril, as Elrond finally finds out who Halbrand was, due to the names not changing on screen. But alas, he's too late, as the magnificent rings have been forged. They exchange looks and their thoughts turn to one thing: Sauron. He's managed to trick the smooth-brained elves playing 4D chess while they played checkers, using Mithril 3000 rectal plugs to vibrate his moves and keeping one step ahead of the elves. He truly is the Neiman of Middle-earth as he looks upon Disneyland under new management and clearly closed for refurbishment in this episode. As an excited Lord of the Rings fan, I was thrilled at the thought of revisiting the world I grew up with. Writers did innovate here, I have to say. They must have used AI for the first time to write a script, an AI that was able to say so many words without really capturing any human emotions. This is kind of like someone wrote fan fiction who actually wasn't a fan of the original work. It was like a university paper where you realize in the last paragraph that you mentioned nothing about the title in the essay, so you cram everything into the last 5 minutes. And it's true inspiration for everybody out there of what you can become without having any pedigree under your belt. But I think praise doesn't fall on one team or one human being. I don't think it's fair to do that. The chocolate fountain of fecal matter in this production flows downward from the top. It is the top that rushes things through when more than haste, passion, patience, and perseverance is needed. It is the top that brings the right people to the table. It is the top that should take responsibility, full stop. This will be a lesson in how to alienate both casual fans and hardcore fans. And for that, true praise has to go to Amazon, for they have truly managed to show that you can't polish a turd, but you can sure as hell make it into a $1 billion production. And boy, was it a spectacle we shared together, friends.